And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 3rd day of March 2025. Yes, we've had that conversation, on rallying, just meet China preparing for the WRC Safari Rally, having upgraded to an R5. So that's the story that we've spoken about. It's now time to have the conversation we were supposed to start with. And this is about judo. We had the Japanese Ambassadors Cup yesterday. So let's now get straight to this conversation. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Moraro. We're joined by Duncan Chamirio, Deputy President, Judo Kenya. And Duncan, first, welcome and Paul about what happened in the morning.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot.
All right.
And also, I'm sorry I came late.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apology accepted. Sometimes things do happen, but the good thing is you kept this time and come to us and spoken about this. Let's start with, over the weekend, the Japanese Ambassadors Cup. Just give us a background as to how, Judo Kenya and the Japanese Embassy, came to have this competition and eventually 239 athletes competing. That's a huge number.
Wow. Okay. First, I would like to say that the event which happened on Saturday was actually the third Japanese Ambassadors Cup, which had happened before. Like we had had 2 tournaments. That was before COVID-19. Actually, COVID-19 stopped the third Japanese Ambassadors Cup, and we resumed this year after a good negotiation and good strategy to actually improve Japanese culture in Kenya, because judo is actually one of their cultures, and they really want us to ensure it is embedded in our system. So I would say that we had gone actually 3 falls before, because by 2019 we had a project which the Embassy of Japan was planning to do. They were actually close to building the judo hall. Is called Doja at Kasarani. Unfortunately, when COVID came, everything stalled. So we are looking forward to ensure that the same projects are brought back for us to take advantage of them. Yep.
So eventually, here you are, 239 athletes competing. I'm just trying to figure out, how you have to set up Kasarani given the different gender categories and the different weight classes. The 2 genders, there's men's competition, women's competition, and I'm just trying to imagine about another 10, 12 weight classes to think about.
I can clearly tell you that judo has grown. It has grown. It's bigger, 3 times bigger, and this actually prompted us to have 2, we call them 2 tatamis. We have Mat 1 and 2. It's almost international setup, which we had to use because the number of athletes who have actually training and playing judo has grown 3 times the last 5 years. I can tell you specifically what brought all this up is the Judo for Schools, which we have almost 15 schools doing judo. In Kilifi, we have actually 3 schools here in Kidurai, Mwiki, and Kenyatta University. We have schools in Rongai, and we have 1 school in Kiambu, that is Kidodua Primary. And all this has actually brought up these changes. And you will see more and more because we have engaged the embassy, and the embassy actually had requested us a proposal to come up with what we need for Judo for Schools, and we have done that already to them. We are just waiting their reply.
Well, that's the Judo for Schools, and this is a program that you would like to see fully operational in the next 2 years. Just speaking about it because it's something that you're doing continuously. From the reception that you've had in the schools and now moving forward, what are the the conversations and the correct growth points that you want to maintain for this?
First, we are looking at the discipline. The discipline part is pertinent in terms of schooling. And teachers will always instill discipline of the athletes, discipline of their students. And one of the things which we have actually promised them is judo is bringing maximum discipline in terms of socialization and also academics. And if you can remember, last year, one of our athletes got a B stand, to say it all, called Kelly. So judo does not interfere with anything in terms of sports. Secondly, we are actually putting up a discussion with the Ministry of Education so that they can accept our module in terms of how can it be embedded under the KBC so that we can be able to run concurrently with the school games. And another issue is the schools who understand what has changed in these athletes in terms of school fees, in terms of their discipline, in terms of the actual social life of our students or of people, have actually embraced judo in their schools.
Well, it's very, very interesting that you mentioned about that and the scholarship program. Just tell us how you balance it, because, for example, I know of institutions which can give you a sports scholarship, and so long as they say, if you're a C student, we want to see you maintain CA and even improving. How are you doing this?
One of the challenges we've had before. We have an athlete currently doing nursing at University of Semmelweis in Budapest. This is a judoka, a grown judoka from Kidodua Primary, and she's doing a degree there. And one of the challenges which we made by that time is that she was the only athlete with a C. And the rest of the judokas were below. And from that time, that is almost 4 years, immediately after COVID. Immediately after that, we went back to our club managers and club coaches to ensure that these athletes must know that it's not the sport which will empower them. It is education there will always boost their life after the sport. So from that time, our athletes have improved in terms of academics, in terms of discipline in school and every other thing. And in this case, we emphasized that any club manager or any club which is within a school should emphasize on academics, which is very important in terms of life after the sport. Yeah.
Well, very important for that in terms of the sport that is happening. So that is growing there. The other thing is martial arts. We do not have them as part of the junior secondary school games or now senior secondary school games, as they will soon be known. What's the plan to have them there? Because that would be a very good competition pathway eventually.
In ourselves as Kenya Judo Federation, we've done research. In 2017, the Hungarian Judo Federation have 250 schools doing judo as part of their curriculum. And when we went there in 2017, the whole stadium was filled with students and pupils. And that itself gave us the intuition to introduce this thing to schools. And I am telling you, the countries like Japan, where we borrow their development history, their development ways or strategy in terms of development, actually uses martial arts as their initial introduction to their schools or rather their children or their students. Martial arts is key in Japan. And when we look at the aspect, some of these things are mental in terms of how you think about karate and how you think about boxing. Because people think that if you introduce boxing to a kid, he will start fighting. Or rather, if you introduce judo to a kid, they will start fighting. But that is not the case. The first thing which instills a child is discipline, is calmness, is modesty, is courage. That is what comes to a child. Immediately you introduce martial arts to. And one of the things which we always keep it in mind is that when you enter into a dojo, you do what is inside there. And when you go out, you leave everything what you've done inside there. So that is something which is in us.
And actually, and by dojo you mean the place where you train?
Exactly. Exactly. A dojo is a hall where we do our martial arts or we do our judo. So in that itself brings that human who is disciplined, courageous, modest, friendly, and is ready for any adversity at any time. Yeah.
Now, the other thing that happened over the weekend at the Japanese Ambassadors Cup is that we had 6 refugees competing, and there is this story. Kenya has got 2 refugee camps. There is one in Dadaab, and then there is one in Kakuma. And the thing is, we have seen athletics become one of the sports where Kenya, through athletics, Kenya National Olympic Committee of Kenya, they got engaged and they had a refugee athlete team. Their first chef de mission was Tegla Lorupe. That was way back in 2016. But now we are seeing them now get into judo. Just give us a story of this.
Before that, the International Judo Federation has a project called Judo for Peace. And this program has been rolled out. It's a while since this program was rolled out under the International Judo Federation. The International Judo Federation has a refugee team which has actually done 3 Olympic events.
Yes.
It is separate from the IOC athletes program, or rather IOC qualifications to Olympics. For us to be able to qualify our athletes, we must have these athletes in our system, in our national league, for at least 3 years. Then after that, they qualify to be recognized by the International Judo Federation and also be supported if there is any support available at that point. For us to ensure these athletes get to that extent, they are humans like us, and actually most of them have been born around and they are actually have integrated within our communities. I want to correct you. We have a silent camp we call the urban refugees. These refugees are refugees who have integrated within the major towns in Kenya, and they are living and doing businesses like any other person. And this is the 3rd camp, the urban refugees. And these refugees are available even here at Kidurai. They are available even here at Uruma or Kibera. And they are doing things like we do. But unfortunately, when it comes now to identification, this person comes as a refugee. And that is when now we take it over as a refugee team. Kenya Judo Federation embraced this project in 2022. And we have been growing it slowly by slowly. Fortunately, in that, I can go back to 2017, where we had one athlete, Sudanese lady, who actually represented Kenya in the Eastern Africa Cadet and Junior Championship here at Kasarani.
Yes.
Yeah. And from there now we've been following up slowly by slowly. Now we are having more and more since we have started a project at Kakuma. We have projects within the urban centers which will now bring in the refugees. And it is our core mandate to ensure they live like us. And that is what we need in terms of cohesion, in terms of security. If we don't have these people living like us or living within us, we will have the risk of insecurity in terms of how we live as families or communities. Yeah.
Well, it's very, a big story, when you just take a look at it. Competition-wise, how have you seen them grow? Because we know that when somebody sees that they've left a tough situation from their home country, they come here. At times they want to, they say, go one better than the locals. Nataka kuwashinda, nikuwe mzuri zaidi kuwashinda.
One I can say we have Kevin Dahabunyimana, who actually before 2017 he was playing cadet at Burundi before he ran to Kenya. He's one of the best athletes under 60 kg seniors. He's one of the best. I can say he has a tough competition in terms of their weight category, but he poses to be a challenge to our locals. Mm-hmm. And when it reached at that point we have already communicated 2 years ago to the IF, and one of the conditions they gave is that if the athlete wills to play for the national team, within our regulations, he is supposed to represent under our flag, that is the Kenyan flag, and then 2, he can represent. He can play under the IF flag. With the arrangement we made 2023, to 2024 February, he was under our national team. He's one of our best athletes in terms of under 60 kg seniors. And in this, I can say, when you are naturally, when you are in a problem, or rather when you are disadvantaged, you always want to prove that you are better. So it comes naturally. It comes naturally in that person. And these refugees can be better than us who enjoy everything out here. And that is the challenge which is coming up in the near future, because we don't know how many better refugees will be in our team or will be in our league. Shall we ignore them? That is where the question will come in the near future. Shall we ignore them, or what will we do? Because we will not leave 100 or rather 200 refugees, best judokas, to just disappear in the system. That is where now our minds are coming, our stakeholders will come in and ensure these people are embraced as we grow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Duncan Chimirio, Deputy President, Judo Kenya, and it's just after the Ambassadors Cup, and you can see the effect it has on society. Competition-wise, we haven't even touched on that. So Duncan will be coming to the competitions because we can see you have a loaded calendar. But let's, Kevin Washira. So let's continue with our conversation, and this is about judo. And after the weekend, we've had about, the work that Judo Kenya is doing, to do with refugees, from Duncan Chimirio, who's, the DP at Judo Kenya. And Duncan, let's now come to the competition side of it. So after, you've had this competition of the weekend, and it just gives you a direction. But let's go back 2 months back, where Kenya participated at the Africa Open, a gold and a bronze won by the women, and it set a foundation to get them at higher level competition where they can get points. We know that this is a build-up for other things. Just take us through that, and also the Africa Open Championship, the third this year, which is supposed to happen next month.
First, I would like to say that Kenya Judo Federation has embarked on a plan for the next 4 years, for the next Olympics. And one of the plan is that nurturing the talent, developing that talent. And judo for schools is key in this. Number two, remember that initially we introduced an international judo federation coach seconded to the national team, Kenyan national team. When we put together these two things, we are looking at the qualification for the Youth Olympics next year, which will be happening at Dakar. We are looking at 2028 Olympics. And these athletes who will be participating at the Youth Olympics, part of this team should back up the qualification for 2028 Summer Olympics. From here, we are going to African Senior Championship, which is happening next month at Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. The next event will be World Championship, which will be happening in Hungary, June, July. And unfortunately, we have one athlete already who was qualified for the World Championship. In this case, when we talk of qualifying these athletes, it needs a huge budget. And the federation has actually talked to stakeholders, and we are here to introduce these stakeholders and also our strategic plan for the next 5 years to ensure we have enough funds to qualify these athletes for these international events. We have events. Every month we have around 4 events. Unfortunately, we don't have the muscle to attend all these events. But in this case, the major events, the Senior Championship, Youth Championship, Cadet, Junior, and Senior Championship are must events for us to attend so that we can be able to accumulate points for the 2028 Olympics. This cannot happen. We cannot qualify athletes when we don't have them participating and actually winning in those events to accumulate better points for the Summer Olympics 2028. So from our history from December last year, we have actually grown from the past experiences where we travel abroad and we come home without any medal. This And these are young cadets. Holiday, they have serious training, serious talent development, and this needs also finances. The Ministry of Sports are doing their best, having a huge budget for all the disciplines, but for us, judo, we appreciate whatever they have done. Through also our president and his wisdom, we have engaged cutting through so many avenues that would enable us get funding, which is key for the federation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's just take a look at this. The numbers that you want to send 14 players, if possible. Let's just just take us through the Abidjan event and those the numbers that as even as you go pitch, for example, if it's to the sports fund or to any corporate sponsor, the numbers that that you're looking at in terms of men and women, 14, because 14 and seeing about another 3-4 people, so in total about a delegation of 18 eventually for Abidjan.
Well, when you look at 14 athletes, we are looking at each weight category. When you talk of 14, it's not a big number. If we would have said we are taking 14 athletes in category of under 60 kgs, that will be a big number. But we are looking at 14 athletes, 7 categories each, ladies and men, or rather women and men. So in each weight category, which is 7, have 1 athlete each, which means we are actually taking less in terms of our natural registration of athletes in these international events, because naturally we are required to enter athletes in each weight category. So in this case, we are taking less by 1 athlete in each weight category. So first...
So ideally you're supposed to send 28 athletes.
28 athletes, ideally. And one thing, you can be number 1 today. This is an individual sport. You can be number 1 today, but something might happen tomorrow, somebody else will come and beat you. And with that measure, it's not enough to have 1 athlete in each weight category. But due to the circumstances, financial issues, and so many other matters which concerns traveling, we are limited to 1. And on the same aspect, these athletes, if we can get a sponsor, a stakeholder who can bring together 14 athletes in every event, we are sure of qualifying not less than 7 athletes to the Summer Olympics 2028.
And that means that they've got to be competing about every 3 or so months.
Yes.
So there you are. Also, the trainers from Japan and the coaching courses that are there. Just give us what the kind of training that especially from the lessons that were learned from the Olympics last year. And the coaching that first let's talk about the coaching course and the change of mindset that is coming through.
One aspect which we have had a very big challenge currently is the mental aspect of our athletes, because when you don't get enough support, it will always come to your mental ability. In this case, we haven't have an opportunity, or rather, we haven't have a chance to fund a serious camp for our athletes. Reason, whatever we are targeting currently, we are targeting the juniors and the cadets. These juniors are still in school. These juniors are not able to finance everything by themselves, because you remember...
And just to clarify, so that somebody understands the difference between a junior and a cadet.
Yes. A cadet is an athlete from the age of 14 to the birthday of 18.
Yeah.
A junior is an athlete of 18 years to the birthday of 21st years. So those are the athletes who are actually under schooling programs.
Good.
Yeah.
At least that is clarified. So yes, you can continue about that. The focus on it.
When I talk of enough funding, is putting these athletes in a camp, a residential camp, whereby they can be impacted every day, both counseling and technical trainings. If these athletes can be impacted equally in terms of mental and technical, we can be able to expose them and also expose them to international events. Because if you can go to 2024 Olympic Games, the athlete you meet there physically is already a deterrent to your athletes. Physically. Because you look at a person huge and he has all the structure of a good athlete, then when you go to the weight, you realize that your athlete is even heavier than the other athlete, but he's built, having enough energy, having enough psyche.
So, for example, say you've got an under 75 kg athlete.
Under 73?
Under 73?
Yes.
So your athlete is 72.5. This other one is actually 70.
That is what I'm talking about. Your athletes struggle to cut weight before the weighing in. But the other athlete is within the weight and well built for the competition. This aspect, we've been lacking this, but the current coach has brought in every Tuesday and Friday is doing physical fitness tests and also gym training, which we never had before. And in this case, we are heading to the right direction. Yes.
I think whenever this happens, that mental part, engaging with, say, affiliate bodies, think of the Sports Council or the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, or maybe even the Kenya Academy of Sport to involve sports psychologists in it. Is it a possibility you have explored?
The National Olympic Committee has a memorandum in terms of either mental illness or rather
mental health,
which is key in the sports industry, and also has as a federation, we have now introduced psychologists and counselors to the athletes so that they can handle them individually. You know, issues of mental mostly is individual based. It's not a group thing. And another issue is that when we talk of sports academy, it's the same issue when you asked me initially about the martial arts. We as martial arts, or rather martial arts sports, have not gotten an opportunity whereby we can go through or rather we can be admitted at the sports academy, not because they don't have a program, but we have not been engaged so that we can be able to share what we have or what can be trained in the system, or rather our curriculum by the sports, by the Academy of Sports. Yep.
Well, we also have got the people that we see on the tatami, which is the mat there, always in a suit and making sure that wakati wamevaa socks, they always have, and as we are talking about the referee, the officials who are there, such that every contest nobody can raise issues, because we saw there were reviews. For example, during the Olympic Games, we could see that they would go, we'd see there would be reviews at times.
VAR.
There's a VAR. Actually, it's true. It's actually a VAR. It's a video assisted referee. It's
Yes.
video assisted refereeing.
Yeah.
So it's a true VAR.
Yes.
Just tell us about this.
One, on reffing, not even on reffing, judo, anybody termed as either technical, official, or unofficial within an event, it is a tradition to be in suit. It is a natural tradition to be in suit. Everybody from the guest to the technical persons, referees, judges, and even those manning security areas, and if you are controlled by the event organizer, you need to be in suit. That's a tradition.
I think I've gotten away with murder once at a big event.
That's a tradition.
I was in a t-shirt and jeans, and I was supposed to be in a suit, and I was right next to the tatami. Okay.
Number two, when applying the VAR, there are aspects whereby the action was too fast for a referee to authenticate what kind of award she or he will give. So he refers to the technical table to ask the VAR, because there is a video purposely for that, and it has all the system whereby you can forward, you can rewind. There's all that. So in that case, that is an assistive way of helping the referee or helping the congregation there to understand that the award she is giving or he is giving is actually the right award at that moment.
And by the way, are our officials being trained on this? Because we know the sports that have traditionally had this, they have improved it so well. Rugby, if you become a referee, you must know how to use, they call it TMO, television match official. If it's cricket, you must get to know about this. Basketball at the highest level does this. I think football is now catching up. But are you doing this for our locals?
We did it this week. This weekend, actually, we had everything like an international event, and our coaches and referees were trained on 27th and 28th. We had an IJF official, a referee supervisor at the International Judo Federation, training our local or our national referees here at Kasarani for 2 days, 27th and 28th. So we are aware as judo, and as our referees and coaches, they are aware, and even our athletes are aware that when they have a dispute, they can be able to see and confirm if what was awarded was right or wrong. Yeah.
So there you had a closing word from you now.
Personally, the few advantages we've gotten, including KBC trying to really understand what judo is an advantage on our side, because being here is not only appearing but also engaging Kenyans on what we do and what they need to know about us, and coming on where they fit, and we embrace such relationship, and this should continue further. Lastly, we are looking forward to improve judo both locally and international performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan Chimirio, Deputy President Judo Kenya. Thank you for being with us this morning. He's taken us through the Japanese Masters Cup and what they're going to do after that, including the training of technical officials, and also revealing to me that I think a couple of years ago I got away with murder because I was dressed inappropriate for doing getting involved with their event. That was at the juniors and cadets at Kasarani. So I'm sure you saw me there and you didn't. So you can
for visitors, there is an exemption.
There's an exemption.
Yes.
Okay, but if I had just one belt, that would have been it for me.
Not with your tracksuit, with a judogi.
So thank you. Thank you very much. Time for us to wind up. Our sign language interpreter has been Brian Muraru. Thank you for being with us in the team that put this together. Coming up next is Kuru Bashnani, followed by Tamrini. My name is Daniel Wahome. Have a good day.